Spidey, you are a cancer to everyone who ever loved you.
Rude. Let me eat him!
He's a serial killer, and now he's got an alien inside him.
Soon come chaos. Chaos soon come.
You know how much I love an underdog.
Oh, yeah!
For as long as I can remember, I have looked for an equal. One who could push me. One who could surprise me. One who could even beat me. Yet all I found is disappointment. Will one of you finally give me what I desire? Yes, we will.
Welcome back, everyone. This will be my new Venom Let There Be Carnage trailer. There's a bunch of new footage. We've also got the Marvel Spider-Man 2 trailer with a whole other version of Venom during that, so I'll explain what's going on, because we also have the Miles Morales. You also have the whole Sinister Six of it all, and Kraven showing up as another new villain. So we'll break it all down. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs. It's like Trailer City right now. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I will be doing a lot of videos for the Venom Let There Be Carnage movie, but I'll also do videos for Marvel Spider-Man 2 when they release more footage for that. But like the trailer says, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is not going to be released until 2023, so it is going to be a hot minute before they start releasing a whole bunch more footage for that. So start with the new Venom Let There Be Carnage stuff, and since we got the last big trailer for that, we also got the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. And if you remember earlier this year, I did a video after the president of Sony's movie studio said that Spider-Man No Way Home would be the key to explaining, or the movie would explain how they're going to connect all the MCU Spider-Man stuff with all the Sony Spider-Man stuff, the spin-offs, the Venom movies, Morbius, all the other Sinister Six movies they're planning. So now the eventual Venom Spider-Man crossover is starting to make a little more sense. But Venom Let There Be Carnage is all about the Carnage origin story, and we just found out the movie's only going to be about 90 minutes long, meaning it's going to be relatively short. One of the shortest Marvel-related movies since Howard the Duck. That's right, George Lucas's Howard the Duck from back in the day. But all that means is that there's not going to be a whole lot of fluff, like they're going to get into the action really quickly. It also means they're probably not going to kill Carnage off for good at the end of the film, which I think is a smart move. He's just way too big of a character to be a one-and-done kind of character. We got the Spider-Man crossover coming up eventually. Hopefully they'll do a true version of Spider-Man Maximum Carnage in the movies at some point. Because if you didn't read the original comic book, Spider-Man Maximum Carnage also featured a Carnage and Shriek team-up with him breaking her out of prison, which he's doing during this trailer. So it sounds like they're just creating the circumstances that would make it possible for them to actually do that in a future movie after this one. But there's a brand new scene of Eddie going to visit Cletus Cassidy inside the prison before they execute him. Cletus tells Eddie that he's a cancer to everyone who ever loved him, and they're obviously trying to hype up the Anne Wang of it all, with him visiting her, him still having feelings for her. Even the Venom symbiote is like, that should be us getting married to her. The funny thing that Andy Serkis, the director, said about the different relationships in the movie, because there's lots of different kinds of relationships, like you have the relationship between Eddie Brock and the symbiote, the relationship between Cletus Cassidy and the Carnage symbiote, then like the actual human relationships. The way Andy Serkis described the movie, like the quick, funny elevator speech, like tell it to me in under 5 seconds, is that the movie is a love story between Eddie Brock and an alien lump of goo. Which is true in a funny kind of way. Like Eddie Brock in the comics, if you've read any of the comic books, has just the weirdest, most dysfunctional relationship with the symbiote you've ever seen. But he's kind of been married to the symbiote, so to speak, this whole time, even though he has other human relationships. But Cletus is clearly trying to get under Eddie's skin and just piss him off. The Venom symbiote screaming, he's rude, asking to eat him, then lashing out, just slamming him against the wall and up against the bars. You can kind of tell that this is happening at a point in the movie when Eddie and the Venom symbiote's relationship is at the height of its discord. The whole idea that they're kind of fighting each other for control of Eddie's body, because the symbiote wants to be a predator and Eddie does not want to eat people left and right. But when the symbiote slams Cletus against the bars, he bites Eddie's hand, drawing blood, except it's not regular blood. As Cletus says in the other trailer, "That's not blood, I've tasted blood." But in this scene, you actually see him staring at the symbiote-infused blood for a second, kind of fascinated and confused by it until he tastes it, like, what the hell is this? And that is how he gets the Carnage symbiote, with it slowly propagating in his bloodstream until they get to the point where they're going to execute him and it fully emerges from his body to save him. But I think the idea being that this piece of the symbiote regenerates itself into a completely different symbiote so that when it speaks to him inside his body, its voice doesn't sound like the Venom symbiote's voice. And if you didn't know this, fun fact, it's actually Tom Hardy who does the voice of the Venom symbiote. They just modulate his voice, like he's doing a voice, but they also process it so that it sounds like this alien symbiote voice. But it's basically Tom Hardy speaking to himself when he's doing scenes with the Venom symbiote. In the comics, the Clintar, the race that the symbiotes belong to, they can actually spawn themselves. They have asexual reproduction. They just eventually spawn new copies of themselves, and those are like its children. So I think the version that they're doing in the movie here is meant to be a combination of those concepts, the comic book spawning, along with Cletus literally ingesting Eddie's symbiote-infused blood. Then there's a brand new scene of Eddie talking to someone different about Carnage, about the actual Carnage symbiote. This might be Detective Patrick Mulligan, who seems like he has some other history with Cletus Cassidy predating this. The way they played in the trailer, it seems like he's really pissed off with all the articles that Eddie is writing, so maybe he was the detective that originally put Cletus in prison. But there's the whole thing with the Daily Bugle article that he's writing about all the unfound bodies that Cletus is revealing to him. It sort of bait him to come visit him in prison, like, I'll tell you about all these people that I buried that nobody ever found. So that might be why Patrick Mulligan is so pissed off, because he was the lead detective and he did not find all those mystery bodies. There's a bunch more footage of Carnage breaking him out of prison, more footage of his girlfriend Shriek when she's being broken out of Ravencroft. She's being kept in Ravencroft Institute over in New York City, which you remember from the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie. So we've had all these conversations about how Tom Holland's Spider-Man could logically cross over with Venom. So in Venom Let There Be Carnage, Carnage going to New York City to break Shriek out of Ravencroft is just the key to that. Like, oh, this is why we're moving the story in the movie to New York City. And you also have Eddie Brock working for J. Jonah Jameson now in this version of the Daily Bugle. There is supposed to be a J.K. Simmons cameo in the movie with a version of J. Jonah Jameson, but I don't know what he's going to look like. Because one of the other major differences in some of these Easter eggs between Venom Let There Be Carnage and Spider-Man No Way Home is that the MCU version of the Daily Bugle has a different font, like a different logo, than this version of the Daily Bugle in the Venom trailer. The one in the Venom trailer has the same logo from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. The MCU one that they introduced during Spider-Man Far From Home is totally different. So even though we're getting a bunch of J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson cameos in the Morbius movie and Venom Let There Be Carnage and Spider-Man No Way Home, they might all be slightly different versions. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere about a J. Jonah Jameson multiverse war against Spider-Man, just like the Kang multiverse war. Only they're just after Spider-Man. But just talking about the Marvel Spider-Man 2 trailer footage, obviously it's just a really quick teaser meant to let you know who the major characters, who the villains are going to be, and when they're planning on releasing it. So clearly Miles Morales is wearing the brand new suit that he got from the Miles Morales game that they just released a little while ago, but you also have Peter Parker Spider-Man wearing the advanced suit with the Iron Spider legs. So it's like an advanced suit version of the Iron Spider suit. The big Easter egg in the background here too, obviously the voice is Kraven. I think we're all in agreement that it's Kraven the Hunter, and they're just doing more Sinister Six villains slowly over the Spider-Man sequels. Maybe when we get to Spider-Man 3 or Marvel Spider-Man 4, maybe that's when they'll do a full-blown version of Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six. You also probably noticed the Easter eggs in the background here too. Mikhail's Diner is similar to Mick's Diner from the first Spider-Man, the one with the big Stan Lee cameo. This is meant to be a different diner though, but you get the similarity. Mick's Diner, Mikhail's Diner. And in the background on the street sign here, it says Goodman. Martin Goodman was the person who hired Stan Lee originally as part of Timely Comics, then when they became Marvel Comics. Like he was the person who owned the business itself. But then you get the big Venom reveal paying off the post-credit scene from the first Marvel Spider-Man game, with a Harry Osborn-looking version of Venom, but he's being voiced, the Venom symbiote's being voiced by Tony Todd, Candyman himself. But if there was any confusion, I think the idea they're trying to present here is that Miles Morales will also be a playable character during this new Spider-Man 2 storyline, just because they spent so much time developing the character in the previous games. Everyone post all your reactions to all this brand new footage, and if you spotted any big Easter eggs in either of these trailers that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. It is going to be crazy for the rest of the year. We're also going to be getting a bunch of Marvel Eternals trailer footage really soon too, because that movie is coming out in November. And big reminder, Venom Let There Be Carnage is coming out at the beginning of October now. They moved it up because the Shang-Chi movie did so well at the box office. My full Marvel What If Episode 6 video will post Wednesday just like normal. Make sure you have alerts enabled so you don't miss that. Everyone click here for my full Shang-Chi post-credit scene video, and click here for my full What If Episode 5 Marvel Zombies video with Zombie Hunter Spider-Man. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.